Rated M and up
All right, welcome to Beyond Breaking Barriers. I'm your host, Piper Carter. You are listening to Black Power Media. Shouts out to my cousin, my Art, My Rules, that edited my intro there, and shouts out to Rated M, who made the beat. Y'all know I would have Dilla beats, but the thing is, we're on YouTube, and we can't do that. Even though we have my Dukes, but YouTube got their own rules. So shouts out to Rated M that made that beat from Detroit. She's a dope beat maker. She's in our collective. We found hip hop, women in hip hop. So if you need beats, holla at Rated M. So I'm very excited because this is a very, very special edition. I have a very special guest. I'm very honored that she made some time. It's about to be a very intense season for her because if you know anything about the month of February, in addition to it being Black History Month, it is Dilla Month. And so we are very honored. I want y'all to welcome and put a whole bunch of claps and likes in the chat. Please welcome the official My Dukes, J Dilla's mother. Peace, My Dukes. How you doing?
One love to everybody. I'm fine. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So 2024.
Yes, indeed. Another spectacular year, off to rough starts for some, but looking forward to a tremendous 2024.
So let's just go ahead, and start it off. Tell us about 2024 and beyond. Like, let's go ahead and start. Normally we get to all this stuff like at the end, but let's start with like what's up with the 2024 for you and all the wonderful things that you're doing.
Well, actually, I've been in and out of Detroit every 2 weeks, actually, for the last couple of months. And, based upon that, I'm going to make it happen more often as I'm collaborating with family there in Detroit, with some family that I haven't been with in a while. We're coordinating with the Namdi Gallery to do some Dilla things that would help the community legacy building within the family and also reaching out into the community. We're trying to get this street sign done, in time for one of the celebrations, hopefully by March, by the old studio home that everyone knew as the studio, where all the magnificent people that still do Dilla music actually first did their first albums or whatever, and where people first came out the gate from, like Fat Cat and other people that are still doing it strong. We are doing we're trying to get a collaboration together from the Namdi Gallery because as it is in the city of Detroit and Black owned, we most definitely have to support our own people, and as well as his work being in the Smithsonian, we must have something in his hometown. Motown has been very gracious to include him on many aspects, and we'd like to continue that relationship as well as other things that we can do in the community. We always do the Dilla events specifically in Detroit. Highland Park does them each year, and they are even expanding on what they do in that area, but Dilla events are done worldwide. So from the end of January, actually, usually starting off in London, which the 4th of February will be that day that we do that. That will be with Frank and Dank and Illa J, and they will kick it off as usual, but there will be a tremendous amount of celebrations each week all over the states wherever they could fit in, without trying to trespass on somebody else's territory. There'll be Dilla events on the, geez, 4th, the 10th. We have Birmingham, Alabama that'll be doing some. I'll be in LA for the LA events, and leaving LA, going to New York for the New York chapter of the foundation. We'll be doing a fundraiser there and doing some things for that neck of the wood. We'll be having tons of entertainment and wonderful celebrations to support that area. And we'll also have Dilla events mainly everywhere, really, between now and June. There is no, even though his birthday is February 7th, there is no end date. And this year's, especially because he would have turned 50 February 7th had he still been with us. So we're celebrating that year for him, and we're doing more things, and we have been blessed to do more with more people involved. And of course, that's my purpose. So I'm going to really rest up so that I can be 100 when I get to these places, and show how much I appreciate everyone for their love and support of Dilla and his legacy. And I'll be working along with my granddaughters as well. They will be at different events with me this time. And so that's another wonderful thing, is we'll do a lot of these things and the family will come together, so they'll see us on one accord once again. And the children as adults this time, but most definitely on one accord with all the love that we can gather in our hearts, and to give back to the people for the support. Quite a bit. We have some things that I'm not free to announce yet, but they will be announced on the 7th. It'll be involving Detroit and other things like the Save the Music program, which we already have in Detroit, and it's still going globally. Well, not globally, but statewide, all the states. And we have 80 schools in plus at this time. So we're still, trying to expand and get more schools involved and get more people acclimated for this grant program. It really helps to accelerate academia where you have an interest in what the youth want to do and what they aspire to do. So yes, we're going all out to try to reach out to our creators, which are our youth, and to help them along their way to reach their passion where it meets them for sustainability, in a profession of some type.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff, my dudes. That's a lot of great stuff that
That's just the
you're
beginning.
doing.
So a lot. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for everyone that's working together, different companies that will help us to make this thing happen for the Save the Music. We already have it in a couple schools in Detroit, and Central was the first, but Wayne State had also lent their time and space to educate the teachers that would like to add it to their schools. So they come in and they will have workshops at Wayne State as a hub for the Save the Music program.
Wow, that's cool stuff, my dude. So if people don't know, Wayne State is a university. Here is a local university in Detroit. So tell us about the different entities that are a part of your ecosystem, so people understand, because there's different pieces to what you do. So help us understand, like, what is the entire ecosystem as it exists right now? Like,
Okay, as it exists
all
right
your
now,
companies, all your companies,
on
all
my
your
arms
organizations.
supplier.
Yeah. Yep,
Okay,
yep, yep.
all right.
Hmm.
The foundation is a hub for any community that wants to be a part of making their community growth greater, and adding support for arts and music within their community or school. And we do supply through the grant program. It's given us not a big thing like a lot of uh, things that you have to do, or things that you must meet. It's very, very limited. I think that people should really just reach out. A lot of times you get kind of a little scary because you want to know, well, what are they asking us to do before they give us this grant? The time span that had to be used on the youth is so short that anyone that loves youth and loves music, I'm sure, would want to participate in this. And we also have educators that will come to you, to your school, to help. some of the people that are in the program will reach out to other schools. This is what happened when we have it in Harper Woods now. Our teacher from Central decided to, collaborate with him and get him on board. And it would make the process is so easy. It's not very many hours, but the extent of growth of the student in their academia and their nurturing skills for music is overwhelming. So I think just to participate or watch or come or try to be invited to one of the schools, if you reach out to me online at the foundation, surely I will reach you back and let you know, set it up where you can either talk with me or one of the students, or some of the students even, or the teachers, and we can arrange that for you to come in and see if it would work for your, for your school or for your students. We reach
Yeah.
out. Yeah, the foundation is geared to support your community wherever you want to have it. Even if you're not a chapter member, you can still support. If it's under Dilla's name, you can still support and raise money, and we'll help you for your community. So the money doesn't come to the foundation that people make during their events. They can donate to the foundation, but basically what they make is to be used for something in their community to enhance youth and the arts. That's the reason. That is the makeup. And we do offer help if we can. We'll make it help happen for you. So
And so just so we understand, because there's different, so when people go online, sometimes they
mhm.
don't sometimes they don't understand the different thing, because you've got the James DeWitt Yancey Foundation, you've got the official My Dukes, there's is there still the jdilla.org,
Well, the
or
reason we leave that name there because it's ingrained in our minds. So many of us that have been supporting and helping all these years, it's like a link that takes you straight to the J. Stupid Yancey Foundation. It's only a link, but we
okay.
do that for those that still remember that first, and it'll take you right to me. But My Dukes, official My Dukes, is conjoined with the foundation. It is totally my operation, but a lot of people reach out to me for a lot of different things. It could be for the TEG grant, it could be for the foundation work, it may be for counseling, or for parents that want to talk to me about how to work with their youth at home, their creative children, because they really don't know how to manage them and keep a say quiet but workable, environment for the children, for the youth. So through what I've been through, I've worked with few parents that it's turned out extremely successful. And just like South by Southwood, we came back together and we talked to parents in the office. We talked to parents on after the studio invite. We talked to parents after the podcast and after the conference, and they still reach out now. So I'm here for those parents. I'm here. Just reach out. My time is Dilla time, should I say, just like the book. It's Dilla time. That's my purpose. And so I think nothing about talking with parents. It's really good. It's good to revisit those places. And sometimes it really is a help for parents that don't realize that their children are so talented. It's a lot of youth that are ready for recording, for doing so many different occupations. And this is one thing, most parents don't realize how many occupations their child may be able to go into just by studying, the beat making, and they may want to work in the studio in another capacity. I have some youth that I was working with that are engineers now, and they started out just doing something different, started out just with trying to make a beat, and they're doing great work in some of the nicest studios. So yes, your child can go far if you just will lend an ear and nurture their skills. Like I always say, everybody's coming here for a purpose. Nobody's just coming here to breathe. And we all have a purpose here on earth. And when a parent helps to nurture that purpose, they'll be surprised at how much the gift they brought onto this earth can give back.
So let's talk about the different, so that's the, let's call it like nonprofit work.
Yes.
So let's talk about, because there's also you have the music, right? And
Yes.
things that happen with the music and the things that happen with the legacy. There was the Hulu film. I mean, there's different films, but the
Yes.
most recent
Yes.
was the Hulu film. There was
Yes.
like you said, the artifacts that are in the Smithsonian. There's the
Hmm.
Dilla Time book. So
Yes.
walk us through um some of those, aspects that are, really, helping to like move that, or share that legacy with the next generation.
Sure, sure. I'll just speak briefly on the Dilla Time book since I didn't write it, but I was active in speaking with Dan Charnas, who is the author, one of the as a co he has a co-author, of course, but the main author of the book, and that was project that took over 4 years. Culminated to get the all of the interviews and the outlook, working with another professor from New York. I met a group of people, the professors and even people like Bob Powers that were part of the makeup, the mosaic that put that thing together. And I even visited his classroom at NYU a couple years in a row. And it's amazing the outreach and the wealth of information that students get just from being hands-on and talking regularly about daily things that pertain to Dilla and his work ethic and where he started from and the fact that he had very limited equipment to use when he began because we didn't have the means to do many things, and it's just amazing what you can do with little. They say little becomes much. Well, little did become much for Dilla. And yeah, Dan Charnas, he collaborated with other professors. I think one from Pennsylvania and one from and another one from New York, which I met, and they did this book. And I've heard a lot of reports about different parts of it, a lot of questions. A lot of it I won't speak on because I know that I gave a lot of information or either referred a lot of people. So if you're not there when information is given, you'd have to weigh it just like someone that purchases the book. So, but it's still standing strong and has a wealth of information in it. Has a wealth of information about many artists that are tied to Dilla and his legacy. As far as well, let's see other things that are Dilla.
Well, there
His
was the film.
Yes, the film from New York Times, the Dilla Legacy film from New York Times. That was actually filmed here in my home here in PR, most of it, and it was kind of rough, because I don't believe in reading from cards or taking notes. I'm straight from the hip. I have to tell you how it was at that moment, and I live in that moment when I talk about it. I think you already know that because you know me well, but it was kind of rough, reliving those days when he was sick, but joyous when we relived the days when he was growing up and into music and spinning records in the park at 2 years old, and the kind of household that he was raised in, where every genre of music was active, on a daily, and people learning how to sing or prepare for Broadway. With his dad would lend his time, the different groups that we sang with a cappella jazz groups and gospel groups, throughout the years. So he had a wealth of introduction to different genres, even from infancy. So yeah, those type of things were mentioned in the film. Also, what was mentioned in the documentary was the ups and downs of someone passing away and the family not being able to have hands on anything or to govern anything that is done while things are in probate. You have no governing of anything. You're left in the hands of whoever the person who's in charge right then until the court lets go. So yes, and of course I've had, because of Dilla's wealth of music and work that he's done with so many different artists, both in the States and abroad, it left, geez, it was a maze of everything, really hard web to untangle, you know, because of his generosity to so many people, and also the fact that he was not a person that was so honed in on finances for his work, because he thought more of his work than, it wasn't about the money for him, should I say. It was about the quality of his work. What he always did was to come back to his work and try to make sure that it was not something that he could do to make it better before someone else, would hear it. He wanted to give his best at all times. It wasn't important for his deadlines. However, when he produced for others, he was very, very adamant on having their projects done in a timely fashion so they wouldn't run up against any type of difficulty with their management.
Yeah. Can you so also the Smithsonian, can you touch on like
Yes,
how that came about and that process and all that?
yes, I can. Oh, wow. Okay, yes, indeed. Against the wishes of the estate and probate, I spearheaded along with um, Timothy at the Smithsonian. And geez, I'm at a loss for a moment for her last name. Please. Okay, I'm gonna have to get that together. Timothy Burnside, along. We worked together for 6 years while they were designing, and it was just a brainstorm thought, of the officers and people that were working with the Smithsonian. He was in the beginning chosen to be part of that, and I knew that it was a blessing. I took that as a blessing, and a lot of people say, "Well, why did you go Smithsonian?" Um, there are a lot of universities that may have offered certain things for some of his work, some of his equipment or worse or whatever. But I grew up in poverty in Detroit. I'm a native Detroiter. My family goes back over 100 years and in Detroit. And I went to school there, born and raised there, and Detroit's Black Bottom. And I'm very much a proud Detroiter still today. But what meant most to me is that the Smithsonian is somewhere that you can take your children. They can see and enjoy the art and educate themselves on so much overwhelming information, and actually feel a part of it, take their time and not be rushed through. And it's free. That was what got me caught. It was free. People that, like me, who could not afford to go to museums or pay for entrance to somewhere, were free to go and to learn. And I just remember how long it took me to be able to go to see some art or to go to the Louvre when it came to Detroit when I was in school. And only because I was in music class that the teacher appreciated my love of music was I allowed to go with Wayne State's choir to see the Louvre. And that was something that was because they had enough room and they had enough, slots on the bus that I was able to go. It wasn't because I didn't have the money. I could not afford to do these things. But I never wanted somebody out to feel how like I felt when I didn't know I wasn't going to be able to go. But those that did not have, it's not something that you consider because you're already ruled out. You know how it is. Still in a lot of places, but when I was young, that was what the rule was. So, that was the opportunity I had, and I just never thought about it until I got older. If it was something that I could do, and people that did not have could enjoy it. Let's make this happen. That Dilla was a piece of this fabric that lends itself to everyone, and we're all equal across the board as far as that, the ability to have that education. It wasn't about money. And I couldn't make it like that because my son didn't believe in that. You know? So yes, that's one thing. The ability to share. I believe that creators are, when I say creatives, I mean like creative students, those that have special skills with art and the third eye for art or music. I think that they come here with that purpose, and we are to share in that. Nothing is given to us to, to hoard. Our gifts are made to share with the world, and this is a fact. God didn't bless some of us with special skills just to hold and sit and just glorify our own selves with it, but to share and to make the world a better place to be in, to educate and to let other people see the love that comes from so many things that are God-given. So yeah, that was one reason for that, Piper.
So with the whole process, because man, I have so many questions, but first I want to
Mhm.
get through the projects and then I'll go back to these other questions.
Okay.
What all happened regarding anything that came out as far as like any because I know y'all had also an action, there was like an action figure.
Hmm.
Can you talk about that?
Action figure, you mean like the one of the dolls that came out?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, that was done, but was not done by me. Okay, should I say those that were working with the estate and had permission to do that, um, just went ahead and did what they were doing, without consent. Although that's not how it was supposed to be, they just did it anyway. So I guess you can say that pretty much that's how I handled with the Smithsonian thing, because there was a effort to try to block me from donating what I had in my possession to the Smithsonian, which was mine, had been gifted to me. So, if I want to give my gift and a good name and I didn't accept a cent for it, but I never thought about any money for it. Like I said, it was something that I thought should be shared. And that's what I did. So regardless of what a lot of people think that I should have done, and of course, yes, I could have used funds. It's been very rough, like 18 years, but that's not, my son is worth more than cash money. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's just go there.
Okay. Hey,
I mean,
I'm
yeah,
trying to
I
be
mean
nice. Go right ahead.
within reason, you know what I'm
Within
saying?
reason.
Okay. So because there's some stuff that I know we can't talk about here,
Mm-hmm.
but the stuff that, respectfully, the stuff that we can talk about. So
Yeah.
some of it was covered in the book, some of it I know about, but I won't speak about.
I know you have a in-depth amount of,
But
because we've been working together for all of these years.
yeah. But the part that I want to uplift,
Mm-hmm.
that I want to share. Well, first let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Of the different challenges that have happened, are there
Yeah.
have there been have do you feel that there has been reconciliation on some of these challenges, or do you feel like some cannot be reconciled, or where, do you know what I'm saying?
You know what? I get it 100. There are, as far as the family is concerned, we
Mhm.
have reconciled because we are working together on some projects that we're working with that will be within the city of Detroit, and things, legacy building within that. We're working collectively on that. And I'm extremely happy about that, because it's like a weight was lifted off me that really should not have been there, and sometimes the man upstairs knows what's best. He lets you simmer in whatever's going on and get back to where you're supposed to be, from where you were as humankind. Let's go of all of the shells and all of the things that we have, the barriers that we have to keep us away from being close in the family. You know how we have these family things that just break everybody apart, and it sort of happened like that. But I thank God that now we're cohesive and working together for Dilla's legacy. We're on one accord with no animosity whatsoever. So I'm very happy to be in that space. As far as other people that I have not worked with, I don't have any animosity toward anyone, because once their hands are off, the family will work on how we're going to move forward together. It'll be coming together, meeting of the minds, and we'll work with who works best for us.
So let's stay right there for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So over all these years,
Mm-hmm.
there has been, I want to say, confusion. Some of it, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think people were confused. Some people, I think, were shady. That's my opinion.
True statement out, and I must say you are dead on point.
Some people were shady.
There was a lot
Some
of
people were stealing, from the legacy.
It was a lot
Some
of
people were
people
stealing from his kids. So let's just be honest. We won't name.
No, I must say,
yeah.
Me being not to my there's no covering for my ignorance on that note, because I was not I've never been the kind of person that looks for things, for people to do wrong things. I like that how Fat Cat said once about in one of his songs, like, I'm probably in church on my knees, whatever's going on. Yes, I have been that person, that Christian woman, that praying woman. And I never have wanted to throw somebody under the bus, or you could tell me something about someone, and that's your opinion. But unless they have done something to me, I can't just pick it up and say, well, this is what they are. I've always been that way, because you never know why somebody's judging someone. It might not always be true. I know I've been judged, and how you say, I've been buked and I've been scorned, talked about, sure as you're born. Well, I've been there much of my life, but the things that have always been said have not always been true. So I use that as my yardstick for where I'm going to meet somebody. And I've gone too far, because I've allowed people to come in and to just rip havoc, believing that they were there for the good. So yes, I've been, it was my fault a lot of times when things did not go right, because I trusted and believed in people that were not there for the good of the foundation. And they were not there because they wanted to help anybody's community, but they were helping themselves, and bigging up on Dilla's legacy. But I could not see it. And by me being in mourning for over 10 years, I wasn't aware until after 10 years that I was really still in mourning. I was blindly walking, making it day by day, and thinking, I'm communicating, I'm traveling, I'm greeting people, but I have no idea that I haven't truly accepted that my son is really gone. I'm still here, carrying these pieces, helping to light this torch everywhere I'm going globally, and had never really mourned until I was here in Puerto Rico one day, and it was like over 10 years he had been gone, until I really was faced, because I was here alone and working with a project with Nature Sounds, and I just writing a paragraph, was going to proofread it before I sent it off, and I could not read it back. I couldn't even get past the first paragraph. I just could not get out of that place where I was at. And I had to call, my husband at work, and because I didn't know what was going on with me, and it was really hard getting through. I think I was probably more stressed when I couldn't get through, because, it's hard to get a call into the Pentagon. So it's not like I'm calling my girlfriend down the street and I'm here across the waters, and I could not seem to get that call through. But I was able to reach a nurse that I have that has been working with me since I've been here, because, all those bags of medications I was on, in all of the illnesses, I've been able to endure. I have great doctors, that keep me on my toes and keep me from breaking apart like a what do you call, like brick blocks or something. But I had run a toll on myself. I really was not able to cope with that loss. Dilla was my stronghold. He kept me together, and I realized that was gone. I finally, pure alone, accepted that was gone. I tell you, Piper, reading the letter, I think I was asked to write a letter, on the Detroit Project. That letter, the album that has a letterhead on it, and I was asked to write a letter to your son. And I said, well, I'm thinking that this is going to be a letter, like, how you have a letter about this intensity or something for something. And I'm thinking it's going to be something that's slipped in. I didn't know it was going to be the album cover. So anyway, I wrote the letter, and I said, how long does it have to be? So they said, oh, it could be anything. It could be just a couple of paragraphs, just one page. So I said, oh, cool. I'll do it first thing in the morning. So I said, okay. And I said, I'll get up tomorrow. So I come up, I'll just sit down and get started. And when I did, I actually took a long time to get that first paragraph. But I just figured I just was like, had a writer's block or something, or either my thoughts were in my head, but they were like jumbled. What should I say first? What do I want to tell him first? Because it really became a thing. Like I was going to talk to him. I was going to really tell him where he was listening, what was going on, what was important to me as far as how things were progressing or how they weren't. So I don't know what was on my mind. I don't know if it was because I've had so much resistance, from the estate at the time. I don't know what it was, but it was like I was in this battle still, just like in the beginning. I've always been in a battle for my son's legacy. That's what I've lived for 18 years, is this battle.
Are you able in this time to talk about any of that with the estate, or that's still?
I don't have any no, I don't have any barriers or anything. They know how I feel. I've
Okay.
been very vocal,
Okay.
much to my chagrin. I just something,
Well,
yeah.
let's understand, because I think so. This is where it gets confusing, right? So,
Mhm.
um, over the years, there have been
Mhm.
different artists who
Yes,
have put out Dilla. Now, right now, I'm not talking about the nonprofit anymore. I'm
yeah.
talking about the music and the estate.
Music,
That's for
yes.
people that are listening.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because sometimes people get confused about all those things. So just
I
letting
know it
people
so
know
much.
which
Yes.
entity we're speaking of. So right now I'm
Yeah.
talking about the legacy, the estate, the part where
And
that
that
is
is the
the business that earns
yes.
money for his
Yes.
children and all that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes over time, there have
Mhm.
been different artists who have either
Mhm.
taken Dilla beats and put out projects,
Yep.
or done remixes, but long story short, have utilized Dilla uh intellectual property
Yes.
and have made money off of it, and have not checked
Giving
in,
back.
if you will, with you or the estate. But
Exactly.
some people have said, well, I called my Duke, she said it was okay. Or some people were like, I was dealing with the estate, my Dukes don't have nothing to do with that. Or some people were like, I put this out because my Dukes isn't a music business person, and
Mhm.
she doesn't know what she's doing.
That's true.
And so there's all of that type of confusion stuff, to where it seems as though people are just putting out their own projects however they have wanted to put out their projects, and then the audience or the public that doesn't know all these intricacies are like,
Yeah.
I have this, I have that. They think they have all
Yeah.
these like Dilla like music projects, and they think that
Yes.
this is official, or they just don't know. Help us understand what projects or people are official.
I I'm
You
so
know what I'm saying?
happy you asked that. Okay.
Okay.
Let me lay it on the line. First, I'll say Dilla is one of the most bootleg artist in history. Okay, that's a fact. Um, what it is that there are bootleg projects, not just here, but overseas. In the UK, I think the bulk of it was like in the UK for many, many years. And so we, through like people that, well, we have some attorneys that are forensic attorneys, they would find out that, oh, yes, well, this was done here. People assumed that they could just use it, his intellectual property because he was gone. A lot of people, even though even when I've reached out through channels that I was working with, they were the general public that just did not care and would say so, that, well, it's not about this. Some remarks were, well, it's not about. People will say, well, what about this belongs to the family? What about the family? Have you who are you getting the project through? And say, well, they would go online. Well, it was truly, oh my God, over 400 or 500 projects I was told that were floating around online that people were grabbing and doing music to, that were circulating for not just since he's been gone, but while he was here. So he knew about a lot of it, but by him not worrying about it like that, because I don't think he knew how massive it was at the time. He was busy doing his work, I guess, busy maybe honing in on one or two, projects. With one or two great projects came from just that line of finding out that his work was being used without his permission. And I won't say the name, but I think you probably already know. And but that came to be a beautiful relationship that panned out to be official. And there are people that he gave, I personally mailed out CDs for him while he was living, by his master list, how he would make them out. My job was to mail these things. I mailed everything through FedEx for many years while before he got really sick, and it would be to exclusive artists, those that came to the basement and those that he would work with either in New York when he was there, maybe working with Tip or somebody, and met a lot of artists. He would mail work that he did, especially for those people, like for their use, and no one else's. Music that was not paid for, but that he gifted to many, many artists. But those artists, each and every one of them, I could name them because they were those that he produced for, and they were producing his music. Those were all A-list artists, some maybe not quite A-list, but very well known, and that he appreciated. And that was how he wanted it. But I mailed those things out by FedEx each and every day for years. And as a matter of fact, I was the first one at the FedEx office. I would leave from my Detroit home, drive to Clinton Township, or, when he was living in Huntington Woods, even get those FedEx, things, and get the list of people, get the addresses right, and mail them out, as soon as I got everything ready. And he checked to see that everybody's name was, and the address was right, because he double checked behind me. And I do that. That was my first job in the morning, to do that, besides, make sure he took his medication and things like that, because I was to, watch for that, make sure he took it correctly. So when we get to the oncologist that was doing his sick days, that, everything would be on point. He wouldn't fall far behind. But yes, those things were done like that. And I was not to make any effort to go after or question, because he did what he chose, and it was his music, his creation. So I never went there. And I knew, and I did let, after he passed away, his attorney know which people or what he had accepted money for, maybe, did it before or whatever, that was off the record. But that didn't mean that they treated those people right, because there was instance a couple times that an attorney went after money that had already been paid. But that's neither here nor there. It was not me that trying to do that, But yes, there are those that were bootlegging it, with people that he trusted, that had his music, on computers and different things that was just like selling stuff overseas. A lot of them were called on it. And so I lost communication with some of them because I knew that they were partaking in this type of thing. But it was like so widespread. And when I talked to the estate about it once, and they told me, say, well, when I had a meeting there in California, I flew out and they were telling me, say, well, you can't go after everybody, unless you have just a boatload of money, because it's going to cost you. You have to really understand what you're going after, make sure that it's going to be worth it, and pick your battles. And I tell you, Piper was so profound that it was a true statement, and it was true. Unless I had a lot of money, I probably wouldn't eat breakfast the next day if I'd used everything that anybody could come up with to try to go after someone that might not make another dime, while I'm trying to chase after them. So it becomes like that for family when they're trying to protect something that is already loose and out there. Then there were record people that record companies or so that had worked and maybe given his work to other people, or work that he had out there and they had shelved it. And, that the state never got hands on. And when they did get hands on it, they did whatever they chose to use whoever they chose. But outside of the Rebirth Project, which was something that I did, and I did flew out on my own dime and discussed it with the estate and let them know about that project. I did that on my own dime because I didn't want any confusion on that. And only the artists that were part of the Rebirth that did their transform whatever beat it was. Those were beats that Dilla had already given said artists and had been working with him for years. But they reconstructed it and made it part of the Rebirth Project. Those artists, it was never like a commercially distributed thing. It's like back of the trunk, Nipsey Hussle kind of like thing, sold in front of the truck, you know what I mean? It was small time. And but those artists, some of them did use their music. Again, at least maybe 2 or 3 of them, did it. And of course, that was for them to use their publishing part on that. But, full well knowing that it was Dilla's publishing as well. But it was only a couple that did it. But yes, it's a lot of bootlegging. And I think what is even more is the fact that you can just about, even when Dilla passed, it hasn't been a time that I've been travel somewhere and people will tell me or be wearing, like at Dilla events, it's so many Dilla t-shirts and things for sale, more than you could ever count or imagine. And I don't know these people, or they're not tied to any, say, group that sponsors or raises Dilla's legacy yet, but they're just bootlegging, And
I just want to highlight, because I'm not sure that folks caught what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
The original bootlegging
Mm-hmm.
of the music,
yes,
was done by the A-list artists that he produced.
No. They weren't bootlegging. They weren't bootlegging. That was their music that Dilla made for them.
Okay.
The record while he was alive and given to them. So they were not bootlegging. Those artists were given what was made for them to do as they choose.
Okay,
so,
got it.
He wasn't about the money kind of thing. However, it was Dilla music released and used overseas for a long time, including someone called me about either a docu-film or little movie thing that was being done overseas by someone, and without permission. Certainly not from me. I didn't know she was. I had met this young lady once and she thought she had permission. She called me back a couple years later, not a couple of years later, maybe many years later, maybe it's like 3 years ago, that she wrote me a letter and apologized. And she was from overseas, but she actually, when I met her, she was in the Detroit area and working with somebody and was doing a project then, but I was unaware. And she wrote me and apologized in the last couple of years about it. I remember the name because it was unusual. So I'm like, oh, so she found out, it was not like she ignored me, but I've been so busy, if she had written a letter or reached out at that time, I probably would not have known, I may not remember the name. Yeah, it's just a lot of that was going on. Paint.
Because that's been the talk or the rumor for years,
Oh yes.
was
Oh
that
yeah.
these A but that but what I heard was that it was the A-list artist that he gave the music to that made music and didn't contribute
Well,
to the
there are a lot.
family or the
That's
estate.
true. That's true. But I think on this hand, how I look at it, how I have looked at it, I think to soothe my soul was that my son did what he wanted to do. I never questioned him. He was a man that knew what he wanted to do. He had his reasons for doing what he wanted to do. He didn't just give away music to everyone that he produced for, you know, but for those that he felt would appreciate his music and reverence his music as a masterpiece, he gave music to. So no, it wasn't because it was because Dilla gave it to him. It was made for them. When he sent music out, those CDs out, they weren't made for everyone. When I would send them out, it would be several CDs that were not the same as everybody else to listen to. You know what I mean? But like when, say for instance, when Q-Tip first had people come in, he would let them listen to Dilla beats. Those beats were done, and he let them listen to it. And that was his introduction, and that's how he got to know people that were already A-list artists or people that were on their way there. That was out of a certain batches. But after he got with some of these people, say like for Erica or even Mad Skills, people like that, he had made music for them for their artistry that he wanted to give the music for, not with a contract. You understand? Because he did it, it was a gift to them, and I still honor that. And I know that it's you try to go after people and say, well, you have this, you know what I mean? I want some of this, that, or the other. I'm honoring my son's wishes. So yes, there it's so much music. There is enough music, Dilla music, that can still be licensed. People still want to license his music, and the family can still make a small fortune from Dilla, music. But the thing is that you cannot string everybody up because he honored them and he appreciated the work that they did and he gifted them. Those that he appreciated what they did, it was a way that he felt he was being honored. And I would say something to him. I have said something to him about it. And I say, why is so and so being, promoted, and why is he doing this, that, or that? Again, I said, when is your turn coming? And he simply would say, and not just once, not twice, but many times, he would say, lady, as he would call when he just like trying to really drive something home. There's a time for everything. And he was not worried about it. And I say, well, they're coming here and you're helping teach them how to do this, that, or the other. And they're being moved up the ladder. And when is your time? He said, lady, I told you there's a time for everything. And so he didn't have any strong feeling about it. He just made more music. So, he was a
Okay,
fountain.
let's talk
Of,
about a couple of the okay,
Mhm.
let's talk about donuts
Yes,
because donuts is kind of controversial.
I know. Okay, tell me about it. It's a lot of ways to go there.
So, well, donuts for me,
Hmm.
because even though I'm from Detroit, I lived in New
Hmm.
York most of my adult life, right? Or like a
Yes.
half my adult life, right? So
Yeah.
by the time I was like introduced to Dilla, it was through, I think it was a DJ Spinner tape
Yeah. Yeah.
that I
They were.
had. And so he had donuts on there and I was like, "Oh my god, it
Yeah.
was amazing."
Yeah.
And it was this house party that I threw and like Tone and Poke were there and it was some
Uh-huh.
New York underground hip hop stuff anyway, but long story short, somehow I got gifted
Uh-huh.
this Dilla tape. So I was like, and when I put it in my computer, well, I'm saying the word tape, but I think it was like a CD.
Yeah. Yes. See. Uh-huh.
So I put in my computer and I was like, this music is amazing. And it resonated with me so much. I learned later that we're both Aquarius, we're both from Detroit, we're both the same age. Like
Mhm.
he, all these things. And I was like, no wonder this music resonated with me, right? But by the time, so then I started going to like the Ladies Love Dilla and all the New York stuff.
Yes.
And then when I moved to Detroit, I was like, where's the Dilla stuff? And people were like, yeah, we don't have that. And I was like, what? So that's when I started doing the Dilla stuff here. But I initially was introduced through the donuts. And so everywhere we go, like there's donut t-shirts, there's the donut shop, there's the donut iconography of Dilla, the Dilla and the donut. And then I learned that it wasn't necessarily I'm trying to think of the right word. It wasn't, well, I'll tell you that this is the story I heard. So this is like, I'm gonna tell you like
I'll tell you
the gossip on the street.
Okay, tell me. That's what I want to hear.
Okay, so the gossip on the street was, man, that a certain record label, I don't want to name them, that person who happens to be a Caucasian person was going, so that Dilla was making donuts on his deathbed, right? And basically, and that these beats, he was churning them out and churning them out and churning them out, and that the purpose of the beats was to have a legacy for his daughters and for his family, and that's why he was making so many beats. I'm just telling you what was.
I know. Go ahead. I'm not saying anything.
And so that this person came when he was in the hospital, and he was loopy because he was on so much medication in and out, and that they got him to sign away his rights. And so donuts wasn't really connected to Dilla's legacy, and then his family never really benefits from anybody supporting donuts. No, that's I've never told you that, but that's what people say.
Because I've heard a lot of versions of that.
Okay.
But let me tell you.
Okay, so help us. Tell us what's the real.
That's like it crisscross. Absolutely not right. There was not I'd say maybe 15 minutes would have been the longest that I would have been away from his bedside at any time while he was in Cedars-Sinai over the 2-year period. I actually left to take care of him before he was in there, and I never came home. I came home like one evening. It was during the holidays to take care of some very crucial things, but he got sick before I was gone 10 hours. So I had to catch the next flight back. I was not even gone 20 hours when I was back in the house because I was afraid, because it had too many times that he was like, maybe when he gets to the hospital, they say, well, we don't know if he's going to make it to the next day. So I didn't have that luxury. I was like, no, I was taking a chance. And after that one time, I never left. And Mr. Yancey would ask me, well, when are you coming home? And I said, well, my son can take care of himself. And that was it. And I swore to myself that no one would make me leave his bedside, because he was not going to pass away while I was off doing anything. Whatever I had to do, somebody else could do it. Because I was literally taking care of home while I was away and taking care of my son 24 hours as his nursing caregiver. And I couldn't leave his bedside. Dilla would not take his medication unless I gave it to him. So the nurse would have to stay in the room. You know, registered nurses, they have to sign off on stuff. So they have to stand there by the door, but he was not going to take it from them. I had to be there to give him that medication while they were there. And the doctors had arranged things that wherever he was, if he had moved to another critical floor or whatever, they'd have to find a bed for him and add a rollaway there for me in the refrigerator, because I wasn't leaving him until he was able to come home. And that's how I was for 2 years. People thought I worked at Cedars. They thought that because I was always there every shift. But the thing is that no one forced him to do anything. Donuts was legally done. It was when we redid it. I think they redid it several times. They added stuff to it or looped it and extended that, but that was their choice. The original Donuts album, which Dilla was alive for, and sent me around the corner to celebrate it. It was released on February 3rd. of 2006, just 7 days before he passed away. He passed away on the 10th. He sent me around the corner to the event because we lived on Sycamore and right there on, it was Sycamore. Yeah, Sycamore. Let me see. La Brea. And yeah, the event was on La Brea, two blocks over. And I walked around the corner to the event. And because he insisted that I go to represent him. He was a little tired that day. And Peanut Butter Wolf had bought him a birthday cake, shape of a donut. It was like tremendous size and gorgeous, and bought him a cake and to celebrate his birthday, even though he couldn't, he didn't want to go, I guess, in the wheelchair or whatever, because at that time he wasn't able to support himself without, a cane or something. He didn't want to really go because it was a small venue. And then I came right back because I was too scared to be there long. I think I stayed about maybe a half hour, 40 minutes, and then had them walk me back around the corner. And then when I got back, Common had come back home because we were living there with Common at the time in that house. And Common had a special cake made for him that was very healthy, gorgeous, but very healthy, ingredients that were very light if he had wanted to have something. But at that time, he was not really eating. That was his last week, and he couldn't really absorb anything, But donuts was legally done. It was done with his full support. He enjoyed it. He enjoyed we rode around when Wolf would come around and or either send somebody to drive us around and take us to listen to it in a car, see what he thought. And at that time, it was early during the day because what he did was to get his fresh air. We take him for a ride early in the day before it got congested outside and let him get some fresh air. He used to like to get those little, what was it, slush-like things, 7-Eleven, and that would be his treat. And to kind of like wake him up, get him up, off of whatever medication he was at the time, because he was in severe pain most of the time. But that was his morning outing. But he enjoyed listening to it. And at that time, the songs were very short. They were like snippets, so they hadn't been extended at all. But the message for each one of those, you remember, each one of those songs and donuts had a name, and his message was something to be not for his family per se to listen to, but for his fans. Memoir-like short messages. He knew that his time was, he knew for like almost 2 years that he had a limited time. And on that last year, he decided to deal with it. And he did very well. He had learned how to walk twice within those 2 years. And each time his kidneys were shut down and other body parts were shut down. And he'd have to go through therapy again and physical therapy. First, he'd have to come back to everything that he knew as far as normal movement, and had to learn how to write again, to hold his handwriting changed a lot of times because he had to learn how to hold the pencil again and to write and coordinate with his mind as to what he was doing. I remember the first time he was very frustrated, with that. And so he would finally get the grip and everything. And that was some days taking him to digest it the first time. But after, overcoming that the first time, the second time we knew what therapy we had to get through. We had to do the occupational therapy and everything. Everybody's coming to the room for all of this stuff. And, all of his plasmapheresis and his, dialysis and everything. All of these things were excruciatingly painful for him because he had a small frame at that time. But he endured it. But he decided to just give messages in the songs. Those were done for his fans. He even and talked about it. He spoke to, the message was clear to his fans at the Jazz Cafe when they put him on stage. And Dave New York traveled there with us that time. And he told them that he had thought about it, dealt with it, and he had kept his word. He told his fans he was coming in, and that's what he did. He was going to do it because he was doing it for his fans. Just like the messages on the donuts, those were messages. Yes, it was the last donuts, and it was a message that you're going to miss me, and different things like that. Those things that came to mind as he was working on those songs. He finished it while he was in the hospital. Yes, he did, but he finished it not while other people were in the room. Not, he was working on it every day. The only person that would have known much about it or had been working with him, not just in the hospital, but nurturing him and coming to the home afterwards. J-Rock would come visit us every day. Questlove would come visit us every time he got a chance. Buster would come visit every time he got a chance. None of those people were there to get music. Anything that he gifted them, he gifted them before he even got to California. They would get gifts of extra music after they do something that was turned in through his through ASCAP. They would send stuff, and I'd make sure that he signed it in time. And they knew how slow he was about doing it, because they would directly call me and said, Ms. Yancey, we need him to send this in. Can you please get it in by such and such a date? Because what meant most to him was that he work and not be disturbed while he was working, trying to create, and for paperwork or anything like that. And when it came time for contracts, he would have an attorney that he was working with to look at it. Then he'd also, after they check it out, he'd also sit down at home and have his family listen, his dad and I, and see what we thought. His dad had been in the industry. He knew about a lot of wrong contracts because he had been a participant in a lot of things like that. But, it was a different time. And like I said, money was not the all-in for Dilla. It was quality, and where his heart was with his music. And he loved those artists that he worked with. He really did. So he didn't think anything about it.
And thanks, my Dukes. I know this is very sensitive, so
no,
thank you
I'm not
for being
so
so
much.
candid. Yeah.
No problem. And still to this day, Peanut Butter Wolf and I are very close. Very close.
Mm-hmm.
Phone call away.
And so also too, I was trying to think of like some of the rumors. So you and I have done another interview, and it's over on Piper Carter podcast. We talked about your history as a vocalist and in the music, and your Mr. Yancey's history as a musician and the influences of Dilla. So we have like that whole thing that people could go look on Piper Carter podcast. Look that up, Dukes Yancey. But this one I wanted to like move us into like the future, because there's been so many changes since we did that interview to this interview. But I want to go backwards a little bit, and I wanted you to speak a little bit more about how did that Hulu film come about. And the reason I'm asking is because there have been other films that people just kind of did, I guess. I don't know if they came to you or if they just put them together. And then but you're saying that this Hulu film
was original.
You were involved. You were involved in it.
I agree.
Okay, talk to us about that.
Yes, my husband didn't want me to do it. He wasn't sure, because it's like so much stuff going on, and we're always the last to find out about a lot of things that are done. But by me not having the reins per se to do things, because it was still in probate all of these years, because the kids were minors, it was nothing that I could do, and I had to wait. And at the time that they thought that they were going to close, we went to court for the hearing, and still nothing was done, because it happened like at the cusp of the pandemic when everything shut down. So that there was back a couple more years. But as far as that agreement, all heirs had agreed separately to do that. I think I might have been the last one to sign off on it, because after I realized that the other heirs didn't mind doing it, because we didn't get paid for that. That was nothing, nothing financial. But the fact that there were going to be truths told, and people would see disclosures from the family who had experienced these things, that was enough for me. I said, okay, well, they'll know that everything is not roses that people assume. It was time for people to know that, yes, he was gone almost 18 years, you know what I mean? And he's gone a good 16 plus years at the time that came out. And people were still holding back, letting this go, and let the family do what they had to do. So many people have come to our rescue over the years, wanting to uh, help us, to manage his intellectual property. Attorneys that I had talked with, even, oh Lord, when I first started the foundation in '06, uh, that was done, set up for me by Manhattan Stewart. Jay Barber took me to the law office and have it done correctly, so there would be no funny stuff, and done right. And I'm very grateful to him still to this day for that, uh, because it was a lot of education, uh, and the way that it was handled was like on point, you know. And so yeah, I like that. Um, and I knew that people could do more with their attorneys that can open an outlet for you to for families to make money when they're on one accord. And I think everybody went through so much stress, and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and just just going through hell, surviving. Uh, so I know for me, my business was like, I had a pretty strong business, until Dilla got so sick and I had to go see about him. And I always had a business. Matter of fact, we had a couple. But the thing is that it was my son, so I had to give up everything. No, I didn't have to. I willingly gave up everything, because he was more important than anything else, you know. And I love all my children the same. I would do the same for any of them. But as a mother, I owed my son my allegiance, to see that he was cared for. Would have traded my life in a heartbeat without a second thought, because I've been here longer than him, and he was a loving person. So yes, never ever regret about that. But yes, as far as that being said, there are people that could have moved us forward, but there's always been a stick in the mud, and there's always I felt a certain kind of way as a black mom. Not at first, because I never believed in that, Piper. But sometimes there is a difference in how people treat you. Uh, Sometimes people have issues with a person and don't realize that they display a certain manner in which they address somebody, and certain cultures think that they are supposed to govern others. So yeah, I am resistant to that now. I wasn't before. I'm not going to sit still unless someone talk to me like I don't deserve to be breathing air. And I'm living in my fourth quarter. I'm not going to take it. They say when old people get older, they don't close their mouth fast enough. They let things come out. I've reached that point. I'm in my last quarter. I don't want to. I'm not going to take the stuff, you know. But yeah, so that's how it's rolling, you know. Can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. Another thing I wanted to ask you is about, thank you, first of all. You're being so candid. So thank you. Um I wanted to ask you about, so when people have done, I mean, you kind of talked about it before, but I want to kind
Mhm.
of be a bit more clear. When people have done these Dilla tributes,
Mhm.
help us understand, because people love Dilla. He is huge, like Bob Marley, right, for hip hop. And so and has the same sort of challenges with the estate.
Yes,
But
yes,
and they're both Aquarius. Anyway, there's a whole nother
I
thing.
know.
But
Like you.
and like me.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
so help us understand, like for me, I'll say like when I started doing it in Detroit, I didn't know you. I didn't know
Mhm.
any of the people. I just had a space and wanted to, people. I was like, how is, Dilla from Detroit and we don't have a Detroit thing? And then I learned later
I'm so
all the
glad
stuff
you.
that, yeah. So uh I didn't want to make money. Like that wasn't my goal. My goal was like people just need to know who he is, and so we did that. And the first couple years we did it like as whereas like a concert. So we had the original people that made music with him and then performed. But then we realized that we needed it to be youth, and so that's how I created Dilla Youth Day. So we started doing that. But but what I've noticed is that there are people who do these tributes,
Mhm.
and on the advertisement
Mhm.
it'll say um money's being donated to the children, or to go to his children, or money, I don't know, something like that. So
No. Ooh.
help us understand, because I think what happens is it's like people go to the tributes because they
Uh-huh.
could, because what they say is
Yes.
I want to help
Mhm.
those children,
Yeah.
right? And so I mean, and I guess you're cool with people just doing a tribute and doing a party. Maybe it's the part about like saying that it's for children when it's not. So I don't know, but help us understand, like,
Okay.
how do people do, I'm gonna call it like a legitimate
Gentlemen.
official
Yeah.
tribute?
Yes.
How does this happen, and which tributes do you say this is a real tribute, this is official?
Okay. There is an official tribute. When I've been notified there's going to be a tribute. Outside of that, it's not an official tribute. And I have fans globally that will reach out to me and say, my uh, just like I've always left my number, and everybody knows my email. I get emails every day, all year. My Dukes, do you know about this? With pictures of things, pictures of T-shirts, pictures of uh, geez, animation toys, things like that. And I don't read not see when I see them, it's because they have them in their hand, and it's certainly bootleg. Or if it's not on my page, then it's bootleg because I endorse them, and then I make a public announcement and hold that item and tell you about it. If you don't see me do it, this is what I tell people: it's not official. And if you don't see, so it got to be so much of it, and people are so slick with it. But we always have fans that are watching from everywhere. You never know. And so a lot of people, we've had to go to Facebook, complain. We had to have admin stuff done and taken down or whatever, or have them investigated. It was really worse before Facebook did their little turnaround last year and started checking out on things. It was so much that they didn't even bother to respond. But they still are doing bootleg everything, Dilla. So I think the answer to that is when I start doing the things and putting them out with the family, and they'll know it's only going to be this. If it doesn't say official My Dukes presents, it's not legit. Because I'm able to do things for the foundation because the foundation is mine in its own entity, and everything I do is just like with my life's blood and breath is for his legacy to continue and to continue to grow and to help young people. The answer is to be a more progressive in academia and the arts. I want to raise awareness of the arts because it means so much to young people for so many different reasons. And it's a catalyst for education. It's a catalyst for social behavior and other things. But if you don't see my logo on anything, it's not legit. Because whenever someone does a legit thing, you'll see the official Monduke's logo and you will see the foundation logo. People know it everywhere. But if you just see something tagged up somewhere, we have an event, it's not, we don't know about it. And as far as making donations, if somebody want us to make a donation, they would let us know, and therefore they reach out and get the logo, and we send it a high resolution logo because we check it out first, make sure they're going to do something, and we don't ask for money for us. What we do, we don't, for years now, we haven't accepted those things. Sometimes people will give me an honorarium if I come out, or something that I'll do special for that tribute that they're doing, and they may want to send me an honorarium or give me something or send me flowers or whatever. But the thing is to make a donation or to some organization that helps youth in your community in Dilla's name. This is what happens there. You make a donation, something that will help the youth in your community be better. It doesn't matter. It's your choice. As long as they are doing something to promote youth education or socialism or whatever, then that's fine. We'll back you on that. But it's about the youth. If you're not doing something for the youth, because I don't care about you having a party and if you're not doing anything educational or having any kind of activities for youth, it's not the same. So it's a different scale. So if you're doing activities and you're having, say, bowling or beat making or whatever, like 5E always did, if you're doing something for the youth, then you're good. Do it as a tribute to Dilla. You can name your own name with it, and it will have our logo on it. But if you're just doing something to have a party and make money and sell bootleg T-shirts, then fine. It's been so bad, Piper. I've even asked people, well, these events are going on a post up, and if I'm there to greet them, I have said, don't wear a bootleg shirt to come see me, because we got T-shirts available. Legit, and so that's how that rolls. People probably assume that, how they said about assuming will make it out of you. And
yeah. And also there's so much no, let's talk about the merchandise. Do you still have the Dilla merch, the official Dilla merch? Is that still so let's talk about that, because there's so much bootleg mercurchandise. Help us understand where we get the merchandise from.
Exactly. The name is our merchandise. We do our own design, and will put it up online, and we let the person that wants to purchase have a choice of we'll put the design up how they want to do it. You know what I mean? Of what the colors they want, or how they want to do a thing. And our tag is official Monduke's Present. That's the difference. Everything that comes out is official Monduke's Present tagless T-shirt or whatever, or water bottle. I think I don't have any water bottles right now, but I just sit here using the one I had, got it from an event of Commons, and I said, oh, I got to get some more water bottles because I'm still holding on to this one. When Common did his book, and I love this, But yes, there is a way to reach out. We're not asking for arm and leg, Anything that we get, we help. The foundation helps other sister organizations that are smaller than ours. We help other foundations, even in the city of Detroit. We help other organizations that are doing fundraising things. And if someone needs something to help to get their venue, or, needs a T-shirt, they're having a youth event and they need T-shirts for this, that, or the other. If we got it, we giving it, because it still enhances Dilla's name, because Dilla's name is supporting something for youth. So that's easy said and done. It's not like I'm sticking money in my pocket. I get the emptiest pockets, probably anybody but the work goes on, and it's my purpose in life. So yeah, that's what that is.
So I want to. There's a question in the chat about Selector's Choice in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Are they connected with you?
You said Selector.
SELECTAS Selecta's Choice? Are they connected with you at all or no?
Not that I know of.
No. Okay. So that answers that
I'll
question.
probably want that's the next question because it should have come across my emails. Because every time
Yeah.
we communicate, Tony and I work side by side. I'm on one side of the table, he's on the other. If something
Mhm.
and he always sends me everything that comes down the line so I can look at it and keep it in the archive. But
Mhm.
because like I'm right now, I'm here working alone, because he's in DC on business. So I'm here and anything comes
Oh,
down
he
the
said it was a while back. He said it was like the year after he died.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that was a
Oh, and it could have been because I was working with a whole staff of
different.
people.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I had a whole staff at that time. Jay Barber and Ozzy Sheen were working with me as
Mhm.
president and vice president, along with me being the founder. So, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
Used to
my
it.
Dukes, what is your um like your highest hope for let's say, well, we hear your highest hopes for the foundation side, and it's to
Mhm,
like share music education and young people to thrive and be supported.
mhm.
What's your highest hope, because you said that the family is now working
Come
together,
together.
which is
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yes.
what's your highest hope for like the projects that you're doing with his daughters, your granddaughters, you know, uh his sister and his brother and all of y'all, his
Yeah.
uncle, all of y'all
I
together?
know, right? Oh my God. I can't like say, but I have so much that I've been organizing over the past couple years. I've been going to Designer Con the last couple years and working with people, and I have a host of people waiting to do projects for the family, for the estate of the family. So, and this is huge for me, and it's not like a hope. If God gives me grace to be here, you know what I mean? See this thing through. I've already got people waiting, like with bated breath, to do these projects. People have been waiting for some years, waiting for me to get my hands on the authority to govern that, because this is what Dilla left. He left me as an executor on his will. So I'm the only one that's left. It was three. The other two stepped down because they were tired of. It's been a one of those S shows they talked about. So, but I'm still there. I'm still holding strong because my son. If nobody else is standing, I'm standing until God gives me the last breath. So He chose me to man this ship. He taught me on those last year and a half. There were people that sometimes it was embarrassing, like when Peanut Butter Wolf has been there in the company of us. It was very few people that he allowed to be there and catch him, at home because he was like not able to be mobile or to take care of himself. But he would scold and school me, uh, test me on what I needed to do and how he wanted me to handle things. I just have not been given that opportunity. So God gives me grace and I'm still here. All of these things, people have been waiting in the wings to do these tremendous things for the family. And there are tons of them, but some are more in line waiting than others. I'm just like, I can't wait because it'll come to pass. The initiation will come to pass with all these companies before the end of this year. So that's why one thing I'm really excited about, because it's still his 50th birthday, his 50th year, and we've waited forever. But these people have been patient and they've been waiting because they want to do things for the family. Uh, Most people know what the family's been through. So it's not like I have to spill out my guts or say anything. People have been watching. They've been watching not just the New York Times uh, commentary, but documentary, but other things, and even with this uh, docu-film that we did with Drez, uh, Dylan Drez, that one. It showed a lot of things that go on in the industry, and just like those doors are closed and held back, and barriers put up, that sort of thing is done. Well, people have been knowing it, but a lot of people don't choose to see through probate and legacies for many, many years. And there were times that I'm sure that there were people that were busy having their moving powers through whatever, whoever was had their back, um, hoping that I would not be here today. But there is a God, and the Most High sees different. So I'm just holding to that. But yes, I have lots of things. I'll be when I go to Detroit this weekend. I will be having meetings with the family on with some of the things that we are doing, and lining up some of the things that we already have in motion. And then I'm going to bring to the table many things that I have to offer for us to take advantage of, so that it will be a very wonderful year full of new Dilla exciting things. His fan base has gotten younger, and tremendously younger. And like you said, Donuts is the introduction to most of these younger fans. So they're just totally they're totally immersed with Dylan music in their head, and they love them on their own different kind of ways. And a lot of them, their parents are showing them they remember listening to Dilla, even when their parents probably thought they would sleep, and they're listening to Dilla because they're so young, some of them. But then there are so many brilliant young children that have come along, and Dilla music is what they need, what they hear, what they feel. I'm really excited and have always been, because Dilla's music has helped a lot of children that have had issues socially, and behavioral issues in school, and it helps them to find a better place, find a medium where they can tolerate that classroom setting and be absorbed and happy at the same time and learn. That's really good, because I know how, I've been in child development all these years, and so I really understand some of that, and the fact that it really helps. It can help a child that is totally unbridled to become more social, and just make them feel good. They're it's one school, especially in Boston, that works with children that have issues like that, and a lot of them are mute, but they need, and they play Dylan music for them. And during the month of February, they celebrate him with Black History Month, and the teacher's birthday is on Dilla's birthday. And he's been to Detroit to visit too a few times, and on Dilla Day. Matter of fact, last time he was there, when I was there, it was at 5E, when yes, DJ what is it? Is it Soulcore? Yeah, was there. Yeah, so it's just a lot.
And just for folks who may not know, 5E Gallery was the space I own, named after the 5 elements of hip hop. And I do want to say that we did host Dilla Youth Day for so many years, that that generation of children are like in their 20s now.
Mm-hmm.
And they are like huge fans of J Dilla, but it was because they grew up in our space organizing and celebrating the Dilla Youth Day and learning from people and making beats and learning his history. And I'm not sure I ever told you this story, but part of the reason that I even created Dilla Youth Day, well, one part, let's shout out one of the people that we shouted out at the beginning. Such a very important part of the Dilla legacy, Amp Fiddler.
Oh, yes.
Rest in peace to Amp Fiddler. His ceremony is going to be this weekend.
Yes, the third.
And Amp Fiddler, so when we were doing when we did the first Dilla Youth Day, that was No, when we did the first Dilla Day, it was because I was doing the weekly no misogyny
Okay.
open mic dedicated
Yeah,
to women in hip
yeah,
hop. And
yeah,
that's how we met you, because I said, "Oh, I want to do a tribute to my Dukes," because
yeah.
that's when
Oh my
the
God.
Suite for My Dukes came out.
Yes, yes.
So all of them came from LA, and
That
we
was
had the film.
2010.
Yeah,
Yes,
B Plus came,
yes.
the
J-Rock.
photographer. Yeah. Yeah, J Rock came, right?
Yes, sure did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I mean, so many people came out, and so
Miguel,
Miguel
Miguel
Atwood
Atwood
Ferguson.
Ferguson. Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen the film Sweet for My Dukes, it's super beautiful. It's black and white, Dilla music, the multicultural orchestra put all the Dilla beats to music, and wrote it out and then
Chamber
played
music.
it.
Yes, the
Yeah, played
chamber
the
music.
music. Chamber music is beautiful. But so they brought the film. That was back when there was like DVD was a thing. So they gave us free DVDs. We gave everybody a free DVD.
Mhm.
Everybody performed. It was amazing. And then we gave you an award, like a handmade award. And
Yes.
then so that next year, no, and so we called it, um we had a special t-shirt made. I'm trying to think, what did we call it? We called it My Dukes is the Foundation,
Yes.
because
I
the
so
night
love
was called the Foundation, right? For the Foundation of Women in Hip Hop and the Foundation of Hip Hop. So we called it My Dukes is the Foundation. And we had the special shirt, and you came out, Dwelle came out, everybody came out. It was gorgeous. Then that next year, I don't know what happened. Like it was some drama. We wanted to do like a Dilla Day. Everybody said they weren't performing unless they got paid. And we were like, this is like, we don't have money, like
You
we're not
forgot
making
about
money.
they forgot
Like,
they forgot about paying it forward. They forgot about everything.
yeah. Everybody was like, oh, well, I want to get paid. So
That's
Amp
what happened.
Fiddler, when I called him, he was the only one that was like, you ain't got to worry about that. So he came. So we said, you know what? Instead of trying to do like a show,
Mhm.
let's do a panel. So we had the panel, and Amp was on the panel. And that's when he told the history. And I've
Yes.
got it recorded somewhere, but that was the first time that he actually like told the oral history of
Yes.
how he
That
taught
was
Dilla.
beautiful. Oh my
It
God.
was so beautiful. And then
In
remember, the Urban Strings Youth Orchestra was there.
my heart.
And that was the first time that they encountered Amp or any of that. And so they didn't know anything about J Dilla. So they were playing like Lady Gaga and some weird stuff like that. And then
Okay.
I remember after the panel, I was like, come on, let's do a cipher. And so we had Amp, and it was it DJ Head or somebody? And then it was like,
DJ Head was always there. Yes.
and it was like the Urban Strings Youth Orchestra. So I was like, let's
Yes.
freestyle. And remember, the kids were looking like, what is that? And we were like, just play your violin. And they were like, we don't know how to do that. And so that's when like I started talking to Amp,
Uh-huh.
and we were like, oh, you know what? This has to be for the youth, because they don't know, like, this is supposed to be hip hop. They don't know how to freestyle. They don't even know what we're talking about. They don't like, it's Black History Month and they're playing Lady Gaga. Like, anyway, but it was like all these things. We were like,
Yes.
this history. They got to learn this history. Remember, Amp was working with the kids over there in Coney Garden. I mean, it was a
Yes.
whole thing. So
Camp
that
Amp.
next year was with the first year that we created the Dilla Youth Day.
Yes.
And then we added like, okay, they're going to learn technology. They're going to learn how to make all this beat making, but we don't want them to just be relegated to like Ableton and Mac. We want them to know open source. So we want them to know Audacity and how to build a computer. So we had all that.
I know.
Plus we wanted, plus they had all, we were like, well, it's, the content of your rhyme. So they had writing, so they would have, content. And I told the story last week about when we did the program with them to learn like about police terrorism, and they did the song Watch the Police. So any hootie ritty tootie, it blew up. Yes. But I just wanted to say that every single year, Amp Fiddler. And we grew from like, what was it, like 10 kids up to like, it literally blew up to like 3,000 kids, and we would have it at the Charles H. Wright Museum, and it was the whole
Exactly.
museum,
Which
and it was
really,
amazing.
truly could barely house everybody that was coming because they kept
That was
wanting to
coming. And people were coming from all over the world coming.
everywhere.
But
Yes.
every single year, Amp would come and
Yes.
he would do this amazing presentation where he had the Dilla beats on like some sort of like visual present.
Yes.
It was like a visualizer where
Yes.
you could see the waveforms, and he would just
Yes.
explain, and then he would, and then had the original SP1200 that
And
all the
he used to
tribe beats and
loan to
stuff
Dilla.
that used to belong to Dilla.
Yeah, no.
It didn't.
That was Head's computer. He loaned it to
Okay.
Dilla. Dilla didn't have
Ah.
one. But
Oh,
DJ Head
that's what happened?
loaned it to him. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Because I tell you, we were poor. We were just doing good to keep the lights on.
It still has the tribe. It still has the
Yes.
original tribe beats inside of it.
Yes.
And he would bring it to Dilla Youth Day,
Yes.
and they would visualize and show those beats, like how they were made. And
Exactly.
and then Amp would talk about how he would come over his house after. Well, I don't know if it was even after school. I think it was skipping school. I don't know, but
Yes. Truthfully, that came out. Dilla was not sneaky. If I had asked him, he would have told the truth. My children were told never to lie. So that's one thing they were deathly afraid of lying to me, because I told them that was the worst thing you could ever do, is don't lie. Anything you do, we'll handle it, we'll discuss it, see why we're having a problem with it, and we'll deal with it. That was like through preschool through adulthood. There was nothing that they couldn't come to me. It did not matter what it is, whatever on earth it could have been. But if you lie to me, that's a broke code. Then I would be the one, and I was the only one that gave the slashing. I didn't know I was doing corporal punishment at that time, because I hadn't been back to school for early childhood development at that time. So I had to come home from University of Michigan and apologize to my kids one day. I said, because I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was doing corporal punishment to my kids, because Mr. Yancey would fuss, but I got the strap, because that's what I was used to. My granddad used to make me pick my own switches off the tree next door, off the bush, and twist them together. Because if I ever got hit on the leg, it might have been, I never had to get a whole whooping, but that one strike on the leg, on that little skinny black leg, it rained like a whole week. My leg hurt. So like, I never forgot, but back then in the day, your neighbor could take off a switch and whoop you on the way home. So, everything was like that back in the day, like that. But yes, I so appreciate, actually, what I was talking about. I was in a Uber about a month ago, and matter of fact, a month and a half ago, and I spoke, and I had just spoke at the Spill the Honey Foundation event at the Athenaeum Ballroom, and I was talking to my driver that next morning, and we got to talking about Detroit and beautiful people in Detroit, and talking about 5E Gallery all the way back from the far west side back to the east side of my daughter's home. And he said, yes, he said, you got to meet this girl that is a friend of mine and everything. I'm like, well, who would that be? And I don't know that we're still talking about the same thing. He said, her name is Carter. I said, Carter. I said, Piper Carter. We just lit up the whole thing. And we just like, both were so excited to talk about you and 5E Gallery and all the wonderful things that you gave to the city because of your kindness, because of what you saw the children were in need of. Detroit slept on Dilla. That's one reason that he stayed underground, because the city didn't recognize him. That when we had to, after he passed away, and we had the movement with the rebirth of Detroit, and then from those funds we gave his birthday party by getting the Fillmore and having artists perform there, and we had the Marquise, stated, that Detroit's hometown hero, J Dilla, because city slept on him. They didn't know who he was, unless they were in that genre of music. But what they didn't know is that hip hop wasn't the only genre that he created for. He created for jazz, and he created for classical music. He played the cello, he played piano, he could play the flute. Uh, all these things that he did growing up as a child. And it's just that music appreciation is something that needs to be instilled in some manner to our youth, because they come ready to give back to the world and to hone these skills and to educate others. The young people, they are hungering for it. And what used to be a part of regular academia under arts programs in schools, at least when I was in elementary school, everybody had music appreciation. I remember that was one of my favorite classes. And when I went to high school, music and artist appreciation, that was one class. I didn't skip that in high school. I wanted to make sure I made those. I might have skipped a science class, but not music appreciation. So yes, definitely, you learn so much, and which hits home, and it helps to educate you. It helps you to want to research and to find out other things, or what the whys and the hows of how this world works, and music being a universal language and being a healing instrument. Without knowing what a language is, something soothing about music, and it's something healing for the soul. So yes, we're all in need of that, especially in these times when we have so many heavy issues to deal with on a daily, and mental illness progressing. Sometimes to be able to sit and to unwind from daily struggles with just listening music, it means everything. So yeah, I've so missed 5E.
Yeah, me too. Well, you know what, my Dukes,
Gallery,
I
and
really
because it's
appreciate
really tough for me.
yeah, I really appreciate all that you've shared with us today. You got so real with us. You got so candid. Before we go, I do want to just
I can't
remind
be
folks.
anything but that. I'm from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. I am a proud Detroiter, and I choose
Yeah,
not to pretend to be anything else, because that, to me, that's all in all. When you go overseas, that's the Emerald City. They look at Detroit like the Emerald City, because it's the place of wonderment and talent and all things new. And that's what
yeah,
Detroit is. So, yes, and then I've been reading so much about you, and your pictures in your youth, and your stern face when I saw you on the other day. Okay. I was like, wow, no wonder, because I can see you as a youth. I said, okay, because she had everything on her mind as a young, very young child. So I'm
yeah,
just grateful. I have a better understanding. So yeah,
yeah.
you
Well, I
might
appreciate
tune
you.
me in on the February birthday too. So yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Creative.
So my Dukes, the just two more things before you go. So
Okay.
one thing is so when you do the music education uh in the schools,
Yes.
is that, do they go through that program to bring it to their school, or do they come like to
They
you?
No, if they need help, or me to put someone individually straight at them, they don't want to go through. They want to say, "Well, my Dukes, I want to talk to somebody to make sure it's not going to be a long, drawn out process." I have ability to get somebody right then, talk to them right then, within the hour or so, on that same day. Okay, because I'm working hand in hand. Whenever these schools have anything or want to show or showcase the students that are there, I'm there. I fly out on my own dime, or either they'll fly me out. It doesn't matter. My thing is that I want to let them know that I'm not just spearheading this name. I'm there as if Dilla would be there, and I care. I truly care. And I know that there's so many young people that are as gifted as Dilla was, unawares. And sometimes, I know for a fact, many times, parents don't know that their child is talented because you're in this busy world. The child may be afraid to showcase it because they don't know if this is what the parent wants to hear. Or maybe the parent has said, well, you're just like like take for instance, Paul Rosenberg. Okay. Incredible rapper. He's come to the house every day with Eminem. Okay. Incredible rapper. But his parents said, no, you're going to law school. It's not going to be any of that, which was in this case a godsend because look who he ended up being governing over. He's the attorney for Eminem and moved forward. And now he's got this big conglomerate company, but he started out as a rapper and beat maker. You know what I mean? Dilla, he worked with Dilla there in that basement. 5:45, he was there, parked outside in front of him and Eminem every day. Every day. So parents should know. And I guess he shared enough for them to let him know, no, it's not going to happen. You might be able to take, you might be taking Matthews over there, but you coming back home and you're going to study. And so that was a great thing. But suppose he had not felt law or been able to withstand all of the stuff, especially in this particular, if he had been of another culture, it might not have worked like that. Because
There's so many questions after that, but it's getting
late. Yeah, I know. Right. Okay. So, but I'm headed to Detroit in a couple of days. I'm going to be there for AMP, so I'm going, and yeah, I have to say something on Dilla's behalf for that.
Let's before you go, say some things about AMP before you go. Because you've spoken so much about how Dilla would be at his house, and you were so happy that he was there and the nurturing that AMP gave him, and I guess another rumor that I heard was that AMP gave Dilla the MPC and Dilla didn't know how to use it, and then AMP told him to play with it or something, and then he broke it. Well, he opened it and broke it, and that's how the Dilla sound was created. And one broke and he gave it to Wajid, and that's how Wajid's sound started. And then he got another one and it broke.
Oh my God.
And he gave it to somebody else to rock or something. I don't know. Anyway, these are rumors.
These are rumors. I know those are whole stories, aren't they? No, okay. It never happened. Never happened.
All right. However, can you clear all that up for us?
Yeah, I can clear up.
Okay.
What AMP did was teach Dilla how to use the Pro Tools. Always hit Full Studio. Because, he had everything. He worked with all of these top name artists, Prince, Funkadelic, Parliament, everybody, Lord George Clinton was a regular there, amongst other greats. But he knew how he would watch AMP, and he was very fast learning. He just watch you. So he wanted to learn how to run this Pro Tools. Not that beat machine. Lord have mercy. He never broke any on first place. However, what he did was AMP said, okay, I'm going to show you. So he turned it on and said, okay. And Dilla was waiting for him to sit down and to take him through through the ropes, right? And AMP was like, no, I'll be back. You figure it out. That was it. And that was also reiterated by AMP in the last 2 years. Because it came up again through somebody and AMP got it straight. So yeah. So that's how he learned. It wasn't Dilla never broke anything. Dilla was so delicate and so crucially scientifically cautious with equipment. I don't think he ever broke anything. From a boy that was doing 5 tracks on a cassette tape, I doubt if that even doesn't make any sense. But no, he didn't break anything. But yeah, that was that's funny. That was a genuine. But people do make up stories. I guess that's why so many people interviewed for Dan Charner's book.
But you know what? I did an interview with Dan Charnas, and I do want to say, my Dukes, that book is good. Like, it's juicy.
It's a lot of good stuff in it.
I was like,
I had to say there were some things that I couldn't coined because they were from Dilla's ear to my mind, not stated correctly. And Dilla didn't lie. Just like I mean, my kids are a lot of things, but they wouldn't lie. And he didn't really care if somebody thought different than what he thought. But he tell the truth, even though he is a prankster, so he make it funny, but he would tell the truth. He didn't have any feelings about that, you know. But it's funny though that they would say that. But you know, questions have been asked and it's been explained. But yeah, he didn't break nothing.
Okay.
But it's a good thought. I mean, so it made at least it kept things projected. It's like when I learned first in kindergarten or first grade how you sit at the end of the circle time and you whisper in the next person's ear and you get the same and you want them to repeat out loud in front of everybody when it gets to the last person. And it's a whole different story when it gets to the last person because nothing has been exchanged all the way down that row because it
Right.
changes.
Telephone.
Nobody
Yeah.
delivers the same words. Words are powerful and words change. Understanding changes on the part of it. But
Yeah.
a lot of people just like talk to be talking, and a lot of people just want to be included. So I had to accept that because a few times within the book, I said, well, why would they say that? And it didn't happen like that. And so people understand things different, and maybe somebody told them something and they transposed it into what they believe. But yeah.
You know, my Dukes, I just
DJ
want to
had
tell
been
you,
loan his machine to Dilla. So he's the one
yeah.
who always loaned his women because Dilla wasn't able to purchase those. He didn't have that purchase power at that time. He had to do a lot of what do you call it? Get paid by the day jobs building uh, what is it? Wood platforms and
Yeah.
yeah, he and T3 they did that in sub-zero weather out there
Mm.
26 mile and mountains. I was driving them out there every morning at 5 o'clock, racing back to my daycare care to open at 6. Like,
So
yeah,
yeah, and then so Amp, that's what he was saying that, I guess like T3, all the slum, all the kids that were over there,
yeah,
um, Amp's house was a safe space
it was,
for
it was,
kids, young people to go and to, learn and to experiment
yes,
and you know, I guess learn how to be what is it like that rigor, learn that
yeah.
rigor that's
Well, I'll tell
necessary.
you, he
Yeah.
was a maestro, and none of the youth really knew how big he was.
Mm.
Because I don't think had they known they would have been as comfortable. They probably would have felt a little bridged, maybe to do something wrong, or they wouldn't have felt as free of making a mistake and being corrected because they already would have been pent up from this guy. It's like play with everybody. It's like somebody huge, and they will come to see Amp. But Amp knew when it was a gift upon him. He was
Mhm.
able, God gave him that sense. And, that saying, God, make me an instrument of your peace and your love. Amp was that. He was that instrument that drew in young people that were super talented, had the third eye, creative senses that he knew that God had blessed with something special. And he honed that. He embraced them and nurtured them, gave them access to stuff that I would not even want them to touch. If I had a baby piano sitting in my window, I don't know if I want somebody to pass by it, much less to have, the open studio there and to teach and to train. Had it not been for Amp Fiddler, Dilla would never have been introduced to the world as he was. It was Amp's unselfish love of music and his unselfish love and confidence in Dilla that brought Dilla to where he was. Q-Tip propelled it into the space, but Amp introduced it.
Yeah. So, okay, and thank you for that. And just before, so for me, I see DJ Dez as a part of the Dilla pantheon.
Yes,
I
yeah,
see obviously Wajid.
mhm, yes,
There's DJ Spinner, DJ Rich Medina.
yes,
I know Pete Rock.
uh-huh.
Um who else would you say like this is a part of, like, if you think of J Dilla, like, obviously all the
The
slum
list is so huge.
T3, like, who
Yeah.
would you say are like, yeah, this is, if you think of
Oh my God.
Guilty Simpson, Fat
Guilty. Oh my God.
Cat,
Fat
yeah,
Cat was the first one out the gate. Dilla adored Fat Cat. And
Dwele.
yes, Dwelle speaks for itself. That piece can never do nothing wrong for me.
There's Bilal,
Malala
Bilal,
was, yes,
Erica
yes.
Badu.
Erica Badu, he wrote especially for Erica. Erica wanted sometimes to get the tapes that I had mailed out for the people because she would hear the other Soulquarians play their tapes and she would call and request them, and Dilla would say, nope, she's not getting it. And I was like, how dare he say that? Because when I saw her the first time in person, I'm like, she is the tiniest, cutest thing I've ever seen. And I love her music. I couldn't believe that he would say no. But he had explained to me once, and I against that, what I shouldn't have done because I was his employee on the side. He said, no, Ma. He said, I write and do stuff for her. If she need help with words or how she want to go, I help with that. I create music for her voice and for what she does and her spirit, he said. And she's not getting what I say was loving other people because it's not for her. He didn't want her to like be so in depth feeling what belonged to somebody else's spirit and what they would do with it. He wanted her to just to be mesmerized in what he did, especially for her. Because when she'd be in that basement, sometimes she'd be there for a week, and it was all created for wherever she was mentally or how she expanded or where she was going. He had it on lock. And he did music for her. Nobody else got her music but her. There was stuff done in advance. Whenever she got stuff from whenever she wanted to, but he gifted her. He gifted her like you would say, well, I'm going to buy you. You come and you do this work, and if I'm satisfied, I'm going to do something special for you. And that's how he gifted those artists that still have stuff that were made especially for them in their artistry. Not all the artists that worked for him got that, but they definitely got away with the goods when they did do contracts because Dilla wasn't asking high end stuff. He got whatever, and then his attorney at that time really didn't put him in that category, which she could ask for more, but she never thought of him on that scale. I think she never knew that he would make that, and but now the way
She
that
knows now.
she knows now, but I don't. Yes, she knows now, and so I
And you
think
named Questlove
Questlove
as
was
well.
was truly, truly childhood friends. Frank Nittis was the closest, and Dink were the very
Frank and
close.
Dank.
Frank and Dink, definitely since like maybe 10 years old. Dank was one of my Boy Scouts. Very I was a scout leader. I had the Girl Scouts, I had the Brownies, and I had, after we couldn't get a man to be there all the time, the pastor's wife and myself and Drake Boyd's grandmother, we just became scoutmasters and we did our own thing. And so we make the powwows. I didn't like to track. I don't like no animals outside. I don't like camping. So very easy. I just took it on myself to do everything. And if it needed to do something, like on a grand scale, I cook, do everything, and serve like the masses rather than to be out or outdoors. So that was my end. But I was there, made sure that every scout had uniforms and that we were presented and everything. At that time, I was still just beginning to do the daycare at my church before I started doing my own daycare. But and then after well, up until Dilla got sick, I ran daycare, and I had 2 daycare centers at one time. But it was a lot. I had infants. First, I had just 2.5 up. Then I had infants, and my daughter was like, well, she'll do the infants, but she was like a iron fist. You had to be like, diapers better be dry and changed on time. And she was like a sergeant. She wanted no child to ever get wet or feel like they had a rash. We never had a child that had a rash or anything going on. She was on point. I was hired today.
And your daughter's in the
she's in the docu film. Yes, that was
Yeah.
the first time she even spoke to anyone, and since Dilla passed. Like I was in mourning for 10 years. she has, that was the first time she began to come out. So she's just beginning to come out of that, but she was so deeply affected. And it's just not in the family. There were so many artists that were so deeply affected by Dilla's work. A lot of them just like, whoa, step back for a while. And even like Dave New York, he never got over that. He was like my sergeant at arms. He was like be boxing, waiting for somebody to come at me wrong. He would really call him on it. It was so many people that were guarding me and watching out for me that I had no idea, because I was not in my present. I was like still in limbo out there waiting for somebody to wake me up from this tragedy, and but now I have the purpose, and I appreciate Dilla for giving me that purpose. I still get a chance to nurture my skills as a child care advocate and child development associate through my parents and my youth, and also being a wedding officiant on the side. And I don't have a lot of time for that, but the many things that come with family and community. So anything that's outreach and that pays it forward, Piper, that's me. That's where I'm at. That's my lot in life.
Oh, before we go, my husband wants to say peace to you. Do you know? I don't know if you remember P Groove, but
Oh my God!
yeah, P Groove.
Girl, don't make me fall on the floor. I love it so long.
Yeah, he said.
Oh my God!
He said, "Tell my Dukes I said peace." So, yeah,
Bless
legendary P Groove, the
Oh my
NSC.
God! Peace and
Yeah.
blessings. Oh my God! It's such an honor and a privilege to have that message.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
there's so many people in the chat that I just it's so many people that's it because I put you on the YouTube and then the other platforms. So there's so many
yeah.
people that's just sending you so much love and hearts and amplifying everything you're saying. And so you've said it a few times before, but just before we go, where can people where are the places that you want people to go to support what it is you're doing, and what's the most current thing that you want support for?
Jeez, that's a big one. The most current thing I want support for is outreach ministries that I'm doing. And that's for globally around the helm of youth advocacy. I have a lot of students that are trying to get into programs, need mentoring, mentoring not just youth, but individuals. I don't pretend to be anything, but it's like life coaching. If I'm immersed in it and been through it, come through it victoriously, I'm here. I hold nothing back. I'm not ashamed of anything. Dilla has been my triumph, and working directly with people is my triumph. And I'm just here as a servant uh, of the Most High, and honoring Dilla in this process. And they can reach me or donate to the James Stewart Yancey Foundation.org or official My Dukes Presents.
That was easy.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. So definitely, I'm looking so forward. Oh my God. I can't. You made my heart. Oh my God. You made my heart. I remember sitting, oh my God, when we were doing the Rebirth Project, and he just said, stand there in a group, and there were some group photos with Mel Wonder and all of us together. And I was looking at him not that long ago, and I'm like, wow. And in that restaurant, Dilla loved going to that restaurant. It meant a lot to him. But I didn't know. I always talked about him, but I didn't know his face like that. Like I knew from being with the Rebirth, and he tolerates so much
Yeah.
stuff with just hot air. But he'd be there, and he hung in there, and I appreciate him so.
He said, "Come to the restaurant when you come to Detroit.
Oh,
It's deep on the east side. You got to come."
I'm coming. Look,
Yeah.
I can't in a second. I'm
Come
gonna
to the
be
Jungle Juice Bar.
I'm gonna hit you. up. And
Okay.
all right. So I know that I have amps thing on the 3rd, and I know
Yeah.
that,
I'm
and
gonna be there too.
okay, say a few
Yeah.
words. And
Mm.
I have a event on, I believe we're still doing something at the Nanamdi Gallery on the 7th, but it was going to be something like a repast there, but we're going to do more media and
Mm-hmm.
update on what the process the family's doing for Dilla Legacy. That will be made public on that day, but we're going to do a grand, I think, event on 313.
Okay.
So, yes. So, making it official because it's all about Dilla and it's all about Detroit, that we are doing this honorary thing and making some things happen. So, yes,
And
I'm going to be,
happy 50th birthday to J
yes,
Dilla.
yes, happy
Happy 50th
birthday,
birthday to J
Dilla.
Dilla.
I'm so grateful, truly, Piper. If had not been for God giving me this purpose, I don't know that I would have made it this far. I definitely am feeling more energetic and alive and with purpose. I have purpose now. And whereas my health was failing and I was like not able to barely get around, he blessed me continually, even after Mr. Yancey passed, and giving me the husband that I need so that I can be free to serve my purpose within every community that I can reach, and for that I'm very grateful. Most husbands I wouldn't have, and they wouldn't be there when I got back home from all I travel. Just like from here to there, I'm like going like I don't have 1,000 engagements between now and the end of March. So yes, I'll be there for the 7th, and I'll be back in Detroit for some of the Dilla Day celebrations in Detroit, and but on the 10th, I will be in Los Angeles. And also, I'll be there for Savior's Day when Farrakhan comes too. So, yes, I'll
Okay.
be.
All right. Well, my
Thank you.
Duke,
Yes,
appreciate you. I'm gonna see you when you come to Detroit.
sure will.
Uh, glad you look much better.
Oh my God, I'm so.
Puerto Rico's doing you a good.
What I said, but all I can say is that um, we moved to the right place. I said, I guess I really am true African heritage because
Yeah.
look, this I don't care how much Sahara dust comes away or how humid it is, it agrees with my body and
Yeah. The
but
tropical
before that,
climate.
ooh, I said,
Hmm.
okay. I said, you are now I understand why my hair has been so nappy all my life. I said I wasn't in the right place. I said, I know, okay. I'm I'm home, mother.
Yeah. That's
Yes,
what's up.
and I can't wait to see you. And thank you
Yeah.
so much for the platform and for being able to be frank and just tell it what it is. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And then people check out the other interview we did because we went through a lot of your personal history, a lot of
okay.
Dilla's history. Go over
Yes.
there to Piper Carter podcast. That
Okay.
interview with my Dukes is up if you want to check that out.
Okay. Yes.
Um,
I want to listen to. I did
and
want to.
also support all the youth work that my Dukes is doing because we need music education and yeah, we appreciate you. All right. So we'll see y'all next week. This is Piper Carter, my Dukes. Uh Shouts out to everyone that loves J Dilla. This every Monday we're right here on Beyond Breaking Barriers. We're
Yes.
focused on women in hip hop. And so I think you're my first interview of 2024.
Okay. Well, thank you.
So thank you for opening us up. And peace to all the Black Power media. Peace to everyone that's a regular in the chat. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.